Hello, everyone. It's Jeff again, and I am still home in Montesano, Washington. And I would like to share a story with you today about a young boy who grew up here. Reuben Hollis Fleet was born March 6, 1887, right here in Montesano, Washington. His father worked for the city. When the financial crisis of 1893 hit, his father was laid off with the city, and times were very hard. His uncle was the superintendent of the Culver Military Academy in Culver, Indiana. And when times got particularly tough for his family, he was sent there to complete his schooling. In 1907, he went home and took a job teaching at the local school in Montesano. And in 1908, he married Elizabeth Girton, and they built this house in Montesano, which still stands. He soon realized, however, that teaching was not for him, so he became a real estate agent, and he did that for a short time. But that too was not ultimately what he wanted to do. He ended up joining the National Guard and becoming a pilot, and he ended up training other pilots in San Diego, California. And he loved San Diego. He loved the climate, he loved everything about it, and he swore that when he was able to do it, he was going to close out all of his affairs in Montesano, and he was going to move to San Diego. When World War I broke out, he ended up in England working for this gentleman, Colonel Hap Arnold, and he was training pilots there. When the end of the war came, he ended up working with the post office, setting up air service between New York City and Washington, D.C. The government then asked him to go to McCook Field in Dayton, Ohio, and work out a problem that they had been having. They wanted to introduce turbocharging to aero engines, but they needed someone to do flight testing that could tell them what they were doing wrong. And so he ended up going to Dayton, Ohio for several years working on that project. And it was during this time that he got to meet all the different airplane manufacturers. And the whole time he kept thinking how much he wanted to own his own company building airplanes. He resigned his military commission and he bought the remnants of the original Wright Airplane Company. By now it was called the Dayton Wright Airplane Company. And with that and several other small companies that he managed to purchase, he put them all together and came up with the Consolidated Aircraft Corporation. He immediately made plans for the headquarters of his new company to be in San Diego, California. And one of the chief designers that he had worked with at McCook Field was Isaac Ladden. And he knew that he wanted him to work for his company. So he immediately went and offered him a job. And together they set up the new corporation in San Diego. Consolidated quickly grew into a very large airplane factory because they had nearly perfect weather year-round, and the world needed airplanes, and they were set up to build them. Consolidated built pretty much anything they were asked to build during World War II. They built a lot of B-24s, but the design that they were most famous for, the thing that they designed themselves and built, was the 3,300 Catalina flying boats they built. Yes, my friends, The PBY flying boat, the Catalina, was built by Consolidated Aircraft, which was founded by a gentleman named Reuben Hollis Fleet, who was born in Montesano, Washington. All of the seaplanes that saved downed pilots during World War II were built by Reuben Hollis Fleet. I leave you now with a photograph of a Montesano school from the time when Reuben Hollis Fleet would have been a teacher. Before the world wars, before there was a need for weapons of mass destruction. Remember, everyone, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and I will see you again.